All right, well, good evening, everyone. I see it is 7 o'clock and we do have a full agenda, so we will get started for the evening. Welcome to Roundtable for April of 2023. We are in now. We have a lot to cover tonight, and I know with the nice weather, we might have some people dropping in, which is just fine, but we're going to get going. Just a couple of reminders for the meeting. If you could please share your name and your unit in chat. That'll help us out with knowing what units are getting the information. Also use chat if you have questions. Be mindful of your background noise. Use mute if you need to. And we will have two breakouts at this roundtable. One will be for Cub Scout volunteers and the other for Scouts BSA. And as always, these roundtables are recorded and all of the materials are available on the Gateway Scouting Roundtable website. My name is Matt Pegliero. I'm a pack leader in Holmen, and I lead the roundtable team along with the other people that you see on your screen. Please let us know if you have feedback, if you have ideas for future roundtable topics. We're always looking for new and fresh ideas. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to turn it over for our opening.
Okay, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. So Scout salute if you're in uniform, hand over your heart if not. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Okay, Scout sign and Scout oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout laws, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scout law, the Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And then the outdoor code. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, to be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation minded. Thank you, too.
Thank you, David. Okay, so we do have a full agenda. We're going to start with our normal safety moment and hot topic, but it's not exactly normal this month. We have a guest speaker for that, and then some important updates. We will go to breakout, and then after breakout, we'll come back for some other council updates towards the end of the meeting. So with that being said, we are going to start with, we've got Aaron Collins from Peace of Mind Counseling to discuss some trends, some recent trends in youth mental health in our youth. So Aaron, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks for having me, Matt. Can everyone hear me okay? Good. All right. Shouldn't be a long presentation. Like Matt said, my name is Aaron. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, which means that I can bill insurance in the state of Wisconsin, and I work as a therapist at Peace of Mind Counseling. My background is in youth and adult mental health. I think my youngest client probably has been 6 or 7, and my oldest client was born during the Eisenhower administration, and it was in the 70s. So I work with people of all ages and all backgrounds, both in their homes or in their offices. And I like working with all age groups, but especially kids, because they're our future. And I'm glad that Boy Scouts exists because of the challenges that today's youth are experiencing. So we'll keep going on that. So I'm going to talk specifically about the youth born after 1995. They're called the internet generation, Gen Z. I've also heard iGen. They're characterized as the children who've grown up with easy access to broadband internet, the invention of smartphones, and easy access to information. So today's children that we find in this generation are less likely to play outside. What we used to see back when I was younger living in the 90s as a kid that our playgrounds are now mostly vacant, and organized sports are kind of how we get kids outside, but they don't do spontaneous play like they used to. They're also less likely to get driver's licenses, even in the rural areas. Kids are using their friends more likely. There might be just one friend amongst many that has a driver's license right away when they turn 16. They're also less likely to drink. And that may seem like a good thing on its surface, and it is. We can drive down the amount of alcohol fatality drivers incidences, but it also means that they're also risk averse, and that can become a problem because we find out that children and adults who are risk adverse are more likely to experience mental health crises. So that's why we're seeing a rise in anxiety and depression disorders, suicide attempts, especially in females. And since about 2014 is when the spike originally erupted, but we see an increased number of hospitalizations, children who are going into the hospital with evidence of cutting, self-harm behavior, thoughts of suicide or suicide attempts. And it really hasn't backed down. It's only gotten worse since then. Also, the families that we're working with today in the clinics are raising children who are less likely to have friends outside the home. They're more likely to have friends on the internet and not kids in their neighborhood. But also children are wealthier and they have access to more technology and more resources than they ever have. But also smaller family sizes. As the birth rate declines, we find that because of many reasons, including the cost to raise children. Today's daycare can run about as much as a private school tuition or even a year at college. So smaller family sizes for lots of reasons, some of it economical. But also we found that this generation had parents that were more safety conscious and were worried about abductions and about children being kidnapped. And it kind of filtered down into the zeitgeist. And unfortunately, that means parents are a little less risk averse, just kind of like their kids. And also parents are more likely to support anti-bullying campaigns and things like that, which in of itself is okay. But what ends up happening is if there is more of a surveillance of adults in the child's life, they're less likely to, children are less likely to solve problems on their own. And as a result, they become morally dependent on adults. And then when they get off to college, as you can see, there's a lot more activity in college, which require more supervision. And those college students were asking for more supervision from adults instead of dealing with problems on their own and working things out. So some of the warning signs that you might need to know, in addition, just kind of what you know as Cub Masters and Scout leaders, is children who are coming to your meetings who just don't care about things that they normally used to care about. As they talk about giving away personal belongings, that's a huge red flag. In general, if you know kids who are withdrawing from friendships, and of course the more overt, like talking about hurting themselves, is obviously a big warning sign. Some of the resources we have locally, Great Rivers 2-in-1 is a great service. It's free. It's available in the tri-state area. If you're in La Crosse County, you can use the La Crosse County Crisis Line 24/7. And of course, encouraging parents and families to get their children checked in with their doctor. Sometimes people skip that. They forget that youth mental health is often taken the first approach in the clinics, pediatrics and family medicine. They think that they're there for broken bones and sicknesses and things like that, and tend to be slower to get help for youth mental health. But there's good infrastructure at both of our local hospitals to support youth that need services. So any questions that people might have, any comments or anything like that?
Could you talk a little more about kids concerned about things that they're not normally worried about, or, you know, in your previous slide, that first point, what sorts of examples would you expect kids to be talking about?
Right, right. So kids, because they are less, they're more risk averse, which means that the old kind of sing-songy sticks and stones will break my bones, but words won't hurt me kind of thing has gone out the window. And so they equate words with violence. And as such, when they feel threatened, they become less resilient. And so if they see things that are offensive, they believe that's an attack against them as a person. Many of them, not all, but many of them. And when they believe that they're being attacked verbally, they tend to use social groups to kind of enforce norms, and they will use anonymous messages or friends to kind of help support them if adults won't do it for them. And so they are less likely to confront somebody. I deal with young adults who have never confronted anybody in their life, and it's scary for them at first, but once they learn how to do it, it helps them figure things out, because they've really never been taught. They've been kind of surveilled by their parents and their adult figures. So that's also, when I get a chance to ever talk with schools, I encourage that as well. So hopefully that answered your question a little bit. Any other
Aaron?
questions? Yes.
I was just gonna just add, so I'm a classroom teacher, and all of what you're saying is just so striking to me. And I think that all of us as leaders are in just an amazing position to say the things that you're saying to our kids, and to use the words like grit and resiliency and determination. And I mean, if you look at, especially in Scouts BSA, and how the process of making rank and also becoming a leader, and those problem solving skills. And I talk to families all the time about how Scouts is just an incredible opportunity to go side by side and help your kid develop problem solving skills. And so as leaders, I think we should not undersell what we're doing, and using those words. We're doing it, we're showing it, but I think using the words is also really, really important. So I didn't mean to jump on your thing, but it definitely piggybacks really well.
Right. I think the Boys and Girl Scouts of America are in particular advantageous position to sell independence to families, because children who are less parented on average grow up to be more competent, resilient adults. And so when you have different rankings and leadership, you have, like in my son's troop, the Eagle Scouts, or the kids who are close to Eagle Scouts, are planning events, and they're filtering it down to the younger kids. And that kind of hierarchy, and if they need help, then the adults will help them. But allowing them the flexibility and the ability to actually be creative and to plan things is very useful. And it also helps eliminate them running to adults every time they get stuck, because we need kids to be able to think through things. Like, if you don't have your cell phone, how are you going to get home? Like basic skills. Like when I ran the streets in the 90s when I was a kid, I knew everywhere to go when I needed help. The first time my car ever broke down was 1999, and I pulled over at a farmhouse and used their phone because we didn't have a cell phone, right? But these kids are so dependent on the technology that they're given, they would freeze. And so allowing them to get thrown, maybe not in the deep end, but throwing out in the real world is an advantage that Boys and Girl Scouts can do. Anything else?
I have a question maybe for Joe, just as a reminder, we all do our youth protection and training, and this covers some of that. But from a standpoint of if a leader is concerned about the safety of a scout, whether harming themselves or others, what sort of BSA protocols are in place that we need to make sure that we remember?
Yeah, something for us to remember, all of us as registered, members of the Boy Scouts of America, regardless of what our professional role may be, whether we're a educator or social worker or business person involved in hospitality, whatever that is, by virtue of being a registered member of the Boy Scouts of America, we should consider all of ourselves to be mandatory reporters. Sometimes we think about that in terms of a context where a youth is being, harmed by somebody else, but certainly we should be aware of, if we really feel that a youth is in danger of harming themselves, especially if it's some of those items that Aaron showed on his slide, related to a scout losing interest and things they typically were very interested in, especially giving away belongings, some of those really clear warning signs. We want to make sure that we're not only involving the parent, but certainly if it seems like that's not a situation where the level of support is there for that youth that maybe we would desire for our own child, you never are in the wrong to contact one of the local agencies, child protective services, and just kind of explain the situation. And from there, they'll be able to, help deploy the absolute best resources to help that young person. And I think we have a follow-up video that we don't have time to show, but we're going to share. And something in there, it talks about that although it may be uncomfortable to indicate that a child is in danger, or you don't want to, you sometimes are coming from a standpoint, you don't want to mar that individual's reputation or put them in a situation that may be negative to them, that you always are best off to try and locate additional care for a youth than you are to have been on the other side of things where you're looking back and saying, wow, I wish I would have done this. So yeah, I'm giving you a long answer, but a quick snapshot would be, you never should be afraid to enlist professional resources to help a young person that you really feel is in danger or needing professional support.
All right,
And
thank you.
I can add a skill to that if you guys want to. And this is something I do when I teach teachers, is that when you see warning signs that aren't like imminent danger, one way you can approach a youth is letting them know that you notice something. Because people don't understand until you frame it that way, that you are actually paying attention to what they're doing. So if a kid is saying, I noticed that if you're an adult saying to a kid, I noticed that you haven't been coming to Scouts and you're really down about it and don't want to participate, what's going on there? That opens up a conversation with them. And then you can start there. And if that doesn't ameliorate your concerns, then you would go higher and follow your policies. But approaching a child and just saying, I noticed this and that, is there something going on? And a lot of times they may not tell you, but sometimes they will. And that's one way that you can get them to open up, especially if they trust you.
That's great. Yeah. John, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, let me had it. There we go. I just very quickly, the other side of this that was alluded to, but I want to make sure is emphasized, is the importance of building relationships with parents. Partly from the aspect of when Cub Scouts are transitioning over to Boy Scouts and explaining, the more youth-led aspect of Boy Scouts and adults back off, but also it's a heck of a lot easier to raise a question about a scout with a parent if you have a relationship with the parent. So I think part of it is not only kind of transitioning the scouts into the troop, but it adds a dynamic of transitioning the parents into the troop or new parents into a Cub pack, whatever level the unit is, and making sure that those relationships are there, because that just makes everybody's job easier when it comes to watching out for kids and behavioral things and that sort of thing.
Yeah, great point. Anything else at this time?
This brings to mind in the training when we're told if we see something, say something. I think that typically alludes to leadership more. But I think what we're just talking about is having a relationship with scouts. And if you see something, say something to the scout. I mean, that just changes. It's another side of that, that it's not really interpreted into the training necessarily, because it's more at the adult level. But I like the concept. If you see a child that has concerns, be comfortable talking to them, give them a platform where they could say what their concerns are.
Great. All right, well, Aaron, go ahead.
And there's actually a saying that we use in the professional realm, especially when we're working with people who might be vulnerable, like kids. And this is an empowering statement that you can use, and I'll put it in the chat. But the statement is called "Not about me, without me." This is an empowering statement that you can use with scouts or parents. So if you have a discussion that is serious enough to talk to another leader about, it's good to involve the person, because the last thing you would want for them is to find out that you had concerns and never addressed it to them, because it could be something benign. So not about me, without me is a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's really good advice as well. All right, well, thank you very much for this great discussion, and this is definitely an important topic and something that maybe we should continue to revisit in the future. But we sure appreciate you being here and sharing with us.
You bet. Let me know if you need anything else. I'll be glad to come back.
Okay, great. And the video that Joe mentioned, the link is here, and this will be in the slideshow that's posted. It's not very long. It's about a 20-minute video, I believe. So if you're looking for more resources, that might be something to check out. All right, so moving on, we do have an update about another way that that Scouts BSA is protecting youth, and that's some of our barriers to abuse, and Joe is going to cover this.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Next slide, please. So an important update to be aware of, and the barriers to abuse. This is most commonly viewed inside the youth protection training, but there also is a standalone portion of scouting.org that provides a snapshot of this as well. When we talk about barriers to abuse, we're talking about our institutional standards inside the program to help keep all youth safe, but also to help keep all of us as adults safe as well. That includes things like 2-deep leadership being required, the mandatory background check, and the various other safety measures inside our program as well. So effective in September, the 72-hour rule will be eliminated. Previously, an adult in your unit did not need to register as an adult member of Scouts BSA if they camped for less than 72 hours. So let's say that you had an adult that was attending, only 2 nights of a summer camp, or only ever attended on a weekend camp out. Previously, they did not need to be registered as an adult member of the organization. That rule is changing in September. The reason on this, or the why, is that we want to ensure that any adult that is ever camping with a unit has the requirement to receive that criminal background check, but also has that requirement to participate in youth protection training. So we're trying to get to 100% of the adults that ever would be interacting with our kids to be fully aware of our organizational safety standards and also have received that background check. Next slide, please. Now, there is an exception for the Cub Scout program. So I know that some of us that do camping with our packs, we maybe are having concerns about this as we're thinking about, wow, how am I going to get 20 additional adults to register? The exception is that if an adult is camping with their own child or their own, maybe it's not their child, but they're the designated adult, guardianship type situation, that individual is not required to register as an adult member. However, we do need all adults to review that portion inside the front portion of the Cub Scout handbook. So the takeaway on this is that if you have adults that are affiliated with your unit, maybe it's an alumnus or somebody that helps out with driving the trailer to and from an event, maybe they're not wearing the assistant scoutmaster patch, they would still need to register if they're affiliated with the troop. Next slide. So you've got a summary here. If you're active at the troop level, every adult does need to register that is ever staying overnight. If you're active at the Cub Scout level, there's an exception there for parents, and that exception is based on the understanding that when most packs are camping, they typically are camping in a situation where each youth is attending with an adult that is part of their family. In terms of what is an adult fee, position in any of our troops, or in any of our troops, it's going to be Scoutmaster, Assistant Scoutmaster, committee member, committee chair, or chartered representative. So for most of our troops, these additional adults are going to register either as Assistant Scoutmasters or as committee members. Next slide. You can find all of the any additional information on this below. You can also certainly reach out to me individually if you have questions on this or have additional information that you want to take back to your Packer Troop Committee. Certainly feel free to reach out and we can set up a time to talk through that individually. There. The other item that I would share on this is there is an opportunity inside this inside this update for you as adult leaders, is once somebody has taken that step of registering as an adult within the unit, I would encourage you to, view this not only as, hey, I need to, have Bill Smith check the box of registering because he's camping with our troop, but, expand that conversation into, in addition to Bill Smith registering because he's camping, what role inside your committee can Bill Smith take, or what big project inside your troop could Bill Smith help be a part of? I know that some of us get frustrated when we feel like we're the only adult in our unit that's doing the heavy lifting. So this is an opportunity to try and exercise some collaborative leadership and get others involved in certainly in your troop. I see questions from Eric and John. We can try our best to answer those, although I know that we're on a tight agenda here as well too. Eric?
Yeah, I just got a real quick question. So I agree with this. I just want to know, the adults that are registered leaders, do they have to be registered with the unit that they're camping with, or can they just be a registered leader in general?
They just need to be a registered leader in scouting. So let's say that somebody is, registered as a member of the council board of directors, or let's say they're registered as a member of the training committee or the camping committee. Those are three of the most common places that we have people registered in scouting. They would be meeting the requirement that way.
Thank you.
Was there another question from John Tometz?
Nope.
Okay. We appreciate everybody's focus on not only this criteria inside our barriers to abuse, but all of the other criteria as well. Let's just keep in mind that this is for the safety of everybody involved in our organization, the safety of 100% of our youth, as well as the safety of 100% of our adults.
All right, thank you, Joe. Okay, we do want to make sure we give everyone an update about next month's roundtable, which will be in person. And I know Morgan has been working to organize locations for those meetings. Morgan, do you want to give us a little overview?
Yeah, so as we have it on here, Scouting Community 1 and Scouting Community 2 will be meeting together at the Scout office. Scouting Community 3 is going to be at the Legion, and I believe they are having food offered, is what I'm understanding. So you can be prepared for a meal. Scouting Community 4 will be at the Awesome Scout Cabin for that troop, the Unison Toma meeting. And then Scouting Community 5, they will be meeting at the Scout Center out in Arcadia, and Scouting Community 6 will be at the Viroqua Eagles Club. The other scouting communities, it is optional to bring something simple to share if you would like. It's not required, 100% optional. It's up to you. The meetings will begin at 7:30. Most of the spaces are reserved at 6:30, and you can start arriving so we can be ready to go at 7 o'clock. And we will have a lot of great information to share. We will be releasing the 2023-2024 council calendar. And so that will be, and then additional resources will be there as well. If you do plan to bring something, if you want to let me know, that's okay. If not, if you just want to bring it, that's okay too, but nothing is expected of anyone of these. We just want to see everyone there.
All right, thank you. This is a great opportunity for us to kind of get in person and connect before to get us recharged for a good summer in scouting. So this is great. All right, we are going to go to breakout at this time. And so I know we have some things to discuss there. So do we have rooms set up, or are people being assigned? How is that working out?
Yep, I have to just go in and assign everyone.
Okay, so be patient and we'll get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know some people have left already, but I want to give time for the breakouts to go, but let's try to be back about 7:50. We can get about 20 minutes to do planning and discussion and then come on back so we can get some updates towards the end.
Joe, I don't see your name on here. I think it's because you're host. So you're muted.
Let me move you over to the host then.
Okay.
Morgan, it looked like you were trying to put me in the scope BSA one.
Oh. Where did you go? All right.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, they're meeting in Arcadia after there. I move, okay. Okay, I'm gonna join Scouts BSA so I can start recording now.
Know where I live and can find me.
Hi,
All right, Morgan, is this everybody?
yep,
Okay, I will go ahead and get going. I just want to talk about the spring camporee coming up May 5, 6, 7. And so what I want to do is just essentially go through the schedule. And then I'll ask for a couple of volunteers, easy jobs that we need filled. And if anytime you have any questions, just blurt them out. Don't need to wait for a pause. I won't be offended if you have a question at any time. All right, I'm going to share my screen and show you what's going on. All right, I assume you guys can see my spring camporee handout.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So the camporee is on May 5, 6, 7. The whole idea behind this is for soil and water conservation. That's the theme. So you see the couple patches there, those are merit badges for soil and water conservation. And one of the goals of this camporee is to give the scouts the opportunity to earn that in its entirety. So there won't be any partials if the scout participates in all the activities, and it shouldn't be too big of a task for the scouts. If they already have that merit badge, there's other things that they can do. There's actually another merit badge we'll be working on, as well as getting some oftentimes very difficult service hours to get. All right, so I'm going to go through this and just kind of walk through the schedule. I know we're on a short timeline, so I'm going to try to go as quick as I can. So it starts on Friday, May 5th. And this is going to be at the Pine View Campground at Fort McCoy. And we're going to start accepting troops to show up and checking in around 5 o'clock. We have the whole area, and I will show you that on a map where we're going here in a minute. But we're going to check in starting at 5 and until 7 or so. That's just the target. If troops arrive a little bit later, that'd be okay as well. Once they arrive, they're just going to set up camp and have free troop time. And then starting at 8:30, we'll have a senior patrol leader and a scoutmaster meeting to essentially lay out schedules, pass on some last minute information, things like that. And then, of course, there's going to be troop time after that and a non-enforced lights out at 11. Saturday, that's when the majority of everything's going to happen. On the 6th, we're going to have everybody wake up around 7 o'clock. Again, there's not going to be a bugle or anything, so that'll be on troops to wake up. There'll be breakfast in their own campsites on themselves. There'll be a flag ceremony starting about 8:30. That's going to be made up of scouts from different troops that are present. Immediately after the flag ceremony, we're going to go right into the tree planting exercise. That SWCMBUC is Soil Water Conservation Merit Badges. That's what that stands for. And we're going to do requirement 7B. And let me show you what 7B is. So there's requirement 7, 7B. is plant 100 trees, bushes, and or vines for a good purpose. I'm told we have about 2,000 trees at our disposal to plant. So everybody will have an opportunity to plant several trees. All right. That's going to not take place right at the campground. So we're going to have to carpool from the parking lot to this area called Big Sandy. I'm not super familiar with Fort McCoy, but I'm sure we'll have someone that will drive us there or show us which way to go. That is going to take all morning long. And then starting around noon, we're going to break for lunch and free time. We have an extended lunch because I don't know how long the tree planting is going to last. And so we want to make sure there's ample time for lunch. This is lunch on your own. This is not a catered lunch by any means. And I would recommend that it's a cold lunch to move things along quickly in case we're running long on the tree planting. In the afternoon, we have 3 groups. So we're rotating through 3 stations. So we're going to be doing soil water conservation merit badge requirements 1 through 3. We have a fingerprinting merit badge. So we have the Fort McCoy police they're going to be there running that station. And then we're going to be doing requirements 4 through 6 of the soil and water conservation merit badge. So essentially we're going to get 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which we did this in the morning. And then we're going to do 7E a little bit later. So there's 3 stations we rotate through. So that'll be 3 1-hour blocks. So that's essentially all of, it's not going to highlight correctly, those 3 time slots right there. We'll get all of those done. And then this last 7E, that is that we're going to walk around camp in groups of 3, in 3 different groups, looking for problem areas of erosion and pollution and things like that. All right, so following the afternoon activities, we can do troop time again. Eat dinner. There's an Iron Chef competition. I don't know what the ingredients are. I don't want to know what they are. Morgan knows what they are, but she's not going to tell you. But there are going to be some secret ingredients that we're going to pass out, and this is optional, but troops can participate in an Iron Chef competition. In the evening, we're going to have a campfire program with awards. We are hoping to have a special crossover ceremony for any scout that has recently crossed over into a troop. So all first-year scouts in Scouts BSA will walk, their name will be read, they'll walk across a bridge if we have one, and probably get like an eagle feather or some other recognition. There will be the opportunity for an OA tap-out ceremony and elections. So as long as the troop is represented with enough scouts there, I think it's 50% or more of the active troop, then they can have an election and go through the tap out ceremony that night. Question? No, okay. So also there'll be opportunity to give skits and songs and all of that. Following the campfire, there'll be troop time, and again, lights out approximately 11 o'clock. The camporee will continue on into Sunday, and on Sunday, breakfast in your campsite. There'll be a Scout Zone service starting at 8:30 till about 9:30, and then Scout troops are free to do whatever they wish. They can hang out for a little bit longer or break camp. One other thing I wanted to mention about tree planting, this is a good opportunity. If they already have the merit badge, they can also use this opportunity to get service hours, conservation service hours for life, which is sometimes it's hard to get. And they need several hours to get life rank. So they can use that time to earn that service time. All right. So one more thing I wanted to mention is troops should bring their own firewood. There's not enough firewood there. They're not providing it. So if you want a fire and what troop doesn't, they should bring some firewood. Also, we need individuals to bring shovels and gloves for planting the trees. All right, I think they will have some there, but we'll need some additional shovels and gloves. All right, so the help I need is I'm looking for one or two people to help. They don't have to lead this, but I need a couple of people just to help out, passing out handouts, helping the main leader of requirements 1 through 3. Just so you know what requirements 1 through 3 are. They are essentially talking about soil. What is soil? What is soil erosion? and soil conservation practices. So I just need 1 or 2 bodies to be at that station to you know, help keep order, pass handouts, just help things moving along. So one person doesn't have to do everything. All right, so that's 1 or 2 people I need for that. I also need 1 or 2 people to do the same thing for requirements 4, 5, and 6. And those are very similar requirements, but those are for what's a watershed, what's the hydrologic cycle, and water pollution, essentially is what that is. All right, so that's another person, maybe 2 people for that. So I'm looking for up to now 2 to 4 people. And the last thing I need 2 people to lead a stroll around the camp to look for places that have erosion, sedimentation, or pollution problems. So that's actually pretty easy. You just have to lead a little hike for probably half an hour and just walking around and say, hey, look, there's an area where we have lots of pollution. There's lots of trash here. It might be there's a lot of water bodies nearby. There's a lake, there's a river. So finding areas of erosion where water's eroding the banks of the shoreline, it should be pretty easy to find. So I just need 2 people to lead that. I have 1 person already willing to do it. I just need 2 more to fill out my 3 groups. And that's about all I need to make this thing to run. I've got volunteers essentially set for everything else. If you have a desire to help at another station, I'm happy to put you in touch with the person that's already leading that, and you can help with that station as well. Okay. So that leads me to take volunteers. Does anybody want to volunteer themselves or somebody from their group that's going to be at the camporee to lead a station? So again, I just need 1 or 2 helpers for requirements 1 through 3, helpers for 4 through 6, and then 2 people to lead some hikes looking for pollution. If I don't get helpers, we're not doing that.
Eric, I can help Corey Puzak and his station on that 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you.
I know I
Mark.
got 7, but yeah, I can help with Corey and
Yep.
get some.
I already got you down for 7E, but you can be a helper there too.
I don't know if Corey agrees, but I'm willing to do it.
I'm sure Corey agrees.
I don't know if I'm going to be there that weekend, so I can't commit to anything yet, but if I am there, I can help out somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, we will. Corey says I will take it. So yeah, well, if we don't get enough people tonight, we will withhold things from the camporee until people volunteer. So we won't let anybody say the Pledge of Allegiance or something.
Yeah. And just a side note, Eric, I haven't talked to you about this yet, but we are going to have a different Iron Chef judge.
Okay.
We are still working out all the plans. I just got to meet with Joe, but my nights and weekends are filling up pretty quick. So, yeah.
Okay.
And, okay.
Hey, Eric, Dirk and I should be able to be there. I think Andrew's out of town for a track meet, but that we're not going to be able to go to. So I think we should be up for the day, so we can help out wherever is needed too.
Excellent. I will write you guys down.
Oh, I guess I need to send a. He said 45, right? Jeez, I should know this.
What's that?
I said, did he say to go back at 45? 7:45?
Say to go back. What?
To go back to the room, for council updates?
Oh, yeah, he said 7:50, I think.
Oh, 50,
Yeah.
okay.
So we got a couple more minutes. So Morgan, I was also I forgot to ask earlier, did we order the merit badges yet?
The merit badges.
Because we
No,
were gonna hand out the merit badges at the camp. area.
I was thinking that we had them in the office, but let me send Nikki a, are we thinking we'll do the same amount as like the patches or?
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Well, I would say you probably need less than 50 of those for sure. All right, well, that's all I got. Morgan, if you want to send us back,
Okay, hold on, okay.
sure.
Yeah. So let's see. I think you guys do it yourself. Leave room on the bottom. Before I
Leave
close it.
room. Okay,
If you want to leave room, leave, yep,
and we're gonna go right back.
yep.